I asked Adrian for a divorce. The society wives laughed at me for being stupid. You lived with Adrian in that cramped loft apartment, built everything from nothing, the classic wife who stuck through thick and thin. It's just a man cheating, at least cash in while you're still young. After all, which rich man doesn't keep a few side chicks? Especially a young, handsome up-and-comer like Adrian? Turning a blind eye is what smart women do. But when Adrian's female assistant flaunted the fresh hickeys on her neck at me again, I told him, I'm tired, let's divorce. He didn't understand. Just because of Sienna? Before Sienna resigned, she resentfully sent me her pregnancy scan. Cameron, guess whether Adrian will let me have an abortion? Whether he wanted to or not didn't matter anymore. I quietly set the signed divorce papers on Adrian's desk. Before we go on, please subscribe to this channel and tell us where you're listening. That evening Adrian came home for dinner. He picked up the papers, skimmed them, and fed them to the shredder. A brand new designer handbag in my favorite color appeared in front of me. He smiled like nothing had happened. Try it on for me, babe, your favorite color. From absolute poverty to ruling a business empire, people say Adrian never smiles, but to me he's still the carefree boy I fell for. Yet amid this picture-perfect domestic harmony I waved the pregnancy scan. Congratulations, Adrian, you're about to be a father. Sienna's baby was already 3 months along. With hardly any bump he'd simply thought she'd gained weight, never suspecting. His eyes flicked to the report and he sneered. Pregnant, huh? The company will have to boost her severance. Relax, it's not mine. A woman like that slept with half the city. I dodged the kiss he aimed at me. Mentally and physically I felt sick. He scowled. Scarlett, you've been cold as ice for a year. Don't blame Sienna, she only started 6 months ago. I replied evenly, a year ago was when you first started cheating. Adrian just tires quickly and rotates often enough that I never found concrete proof. Silence. He stared, fists clenched at his sides. I dragged my suitcase past him toward the door. I'll have my lawyer send new papers. I'm moving out tonight. Scarlett. He stopped me. None of those cheap floozies can compare to you. Leave if you want, but remember the cost. He loves to pout, especially with me, because he knows I can't stand to see him upset. He was waiting for me to comfort him. I'm 3 years older. Early in our naive courtship I'd kiss his forehead to show I'd forgiven him. After we married we settled arguments in bed. But now I walked out without looking back and got into a friend's car. At the red light Luna glanced over. Only a year of cheating and you're really divorcing? Not divorcing, saving the drama for New Year's? Listen, a guy like Adrian is everywhere in our crowd. If I were you I'd never surrender the Cameron title so some sparrow can become a phoenix. I gave a rueful laugh. Luna, when Adrian and I were broke we could afford 1 bowl of wonton soup, and I gave him mine. His tears fell into the bowl and he promised he'd never fail me. He already has. I won't fail the girl I was then. The money I've saved can keep me comfortable for life. I won't waste another second on someone who exhausts me. I slid off my wedding band and tossed it into a trash can by the curb. Diamonds don't hold value, neither does love. From the second I learned he was cheating, every moment became torture. Luna smiled in understanding and drove to the Vance estate. Good, you're decisive. Interested in dating my brother? 6'4", 8-pack, and SHHH, he's still a virgin. He's crushed on you for 3 years. Julian, her brother, is 2 years younger than Adrian and turns crimson whenever he sees me. No wonder. I shook my head. Just drop me home. Luna pretended to go deaf, hustled me out of the car, and through the front door. Julian's jaw dropped. SC Scarlett. I gave an awkward smile. One night, hope that's okay? Of course. He fought a grin, finally scrubbing a hand over his face. I'll go make up your room. He bolted. Avery, pathetic. She turned to me. Stay as long as you want. I missed you like crazy while I was overseas. Unable to resist her nagging, I agreed. Adrian still hadn't responded. I showed up at a friend's gathering. Adrian arrived with Sienna. He hadn't expected me. A couple of friends greeted her. Hey, Mrs. Sterling. Adrian raised an eyebrow. Wrong woman. Scarlett, you're Mrs. Sterling. They froze, then stammered, sorry, Mrs. Sterling, the lighting's bad. They were clearly tighter with Sienna. Adrian had always said his assistant was a master at winning people over. Mid-game someone checked his expression and said, "Mrs. Sterling, you're rusty, hope Adrian doesn't blame us for beating you." No surprise, she's never bothered with us peons, not like Sienna here, so down to earth. Sienna's the champ. Let her represent Adrian, he's almost out of chips. Adrian remained impassive, merely tilting his chin at Sienna. Go help my wife. Sienna rubbed her belly meaningfully. Adrian, I've been so queasy I can't drink, what if I lose? He smiled. Then I'll drink for you. Everyone roared. Maybe it was intentional. Sienna lost round after round. Adrian's cheeks flushed. I got bored and stepped outside for air. Less than 10 minutes later he appeared. Didn't think you'd deign to mingle with these losers. Why come? You keep dodging the papers, I can never find you. The amusement in his eyes vanished. Scarlett, the tests confirm Sienna's baby is mine. My expression didn't change. Congratulations, I said quietly. He spun me around, exasperated. Another woman pregnant by your husband and all you offer is congratulations? Cold as ice. At the table you couldn't spare me a word. A flicker of regret crossed his face. I went too far this time. Keep the baby or not, just say the word. Come home, stop the theatrics. I laughed softly. Thanks for the generous offer, but I'm done with the Cameron title. I walked back to the Vance estate. I changed into my pajamas, walked to the window, and was about to crack it open for some air. Instead I saw a familiar silhouette. Sienna. She was dressed to provoke, head-to-toe logos screaming money. Of course, Adrian loves reeling women in with stuff like that. A year ago I had noticed the company expense sheets kept listing jewelry, designer goods, luxury items. None of them ever landed in my hands. Adrian had explained it away. Ahem, client gifts. I let the assistant pick them. Turns out her taste is tacky. Good thing everything I choose for you myself, right? Much better yeah? I know him too well. He always clears his throat when he lies. He never realized every one of those receipts would end up the smoking gun of his affairs. Later he stopped even pretending. Scarlett, so what if I gift a designer handbag or two? I like to play, you've always known. Otherwise how do you think we even got together? I stood there frozen, unable to breathe. On him I could no longer see any trace of the man who once loved me. Adrian used to be the classic trust fare prince. He spent nights bar hopping with his crew while I worked the door in the same clubs for tips. He once beat off a bunch of drunks for me. Under the moonlight, after he got a clear look at my face, the serial heartbreaker reeled himself in and shamelessly chased a woman 3 years older. Then his family empire imploded, and the fair weather pack scattered. I found him while loan sharks were chasing him down. I used every dollar I had on me to buy him breathing room. That was when he tried to break up. Handbags, jewelry, cash, I can't give you any of that now. I'll only drag you down. Walk away. I'll somehow pay you back. I dragged the grime-covered man with me and, with the last $5 in my pocket, bought us 1 bowl of wonton soup. He bawled his eyes out. I flicked his forehead. Idiot, I fell for you, not your wallet. Thinking back now, how laughable, to actually believe a leopard can change its spots. Sienna was standing by the garage entrance, apparently waiting for someone. The Vance family butler stepped out and handed her a bank card. She nodded, tucked it away, and left. After a few steps she suddenly looked back. Our gazes crossed in the vertical gap between us. She smiled faintly, mockery written all over it. Next morning I got a call from Adrian's mother. Sweetheart, I made your favorite cushion carp stew, come eat at home, alright? Sure. When I left the Vance estate I asked Luna, I think I spotted Sienna here yesterday. Why would she show up? She hemmed and hawed forever. Julian spoke first, she came to make trouble for you. I had the butler give her some money and send her off. He scratched his head, embarrassed. Scarlett, I'm not trying to meddle, thank you. Julian froze, fingers circling his glass, ears turning scarlet. I couldn't help thinking, wow, this guy is pure innocence? And dressed pretty, scantily? His shirt tugged tight over a sculpted chest, the thin fabric hinting at the rows of abs beneath, sleeves rolled to show lean, corded forearms. Luna's voice flashed through my head, he's still got his V-card, you know. I quickly shook the thought away. Thou shalt not lust after thy bestie's little brother. Flesh is emptiness, emptiness is flesh. I turned and walked out. When I stepped into Sterling Manor, Evelyn was already at the dining table, greeting me with a smile. Relax, I didn't invite Adrian. I pressed my lips, then said, Evelyn. Her expression flickered, she only sighed. I hear you're divorcing Adrian. Yes. Probably hitting snags, I imagine. My hand clenched around my purse strap. All these years Evelyn had treated me like her own, warm, generous. But I'm still an outsider. Blood will always win. She took a folder from the bookshelf and handed it to me. Show this to Adrian, he'll sign the divorce papers at once. Startled, I asked, why help me? She said, Adrian's father and I once reached the same dead end. He cheated, and an affair woman nearly strangled Adrian, 1 inch more and he would have died. He was 8, hated his father to the bone. Yet look, men end up turning into their dads. Evelyn looked at me, eyes glistening. Adrian does love you, but he loves himself more. The Sterlings had once been storied royalty. People said Robert Sterling loved Evelyn to obsession. When she filed for divorce, he locked her in the house, refused food and drink, guarded her day and night until she rescinded. Every matron called him psychotic, while secretly envying Evelyn. Darling, a man who loves you that hard is a miracle, because in their circles, genuine love is the rarest commodity of all. I said goodbye to Evelyn. The moment I walked out of the old mansion I ran straight into Adrian. This time another woman clung to his arm. Adrian prompted her, say hi. She beamed at me. Hello, nice to meet you, I'm Riley, Adrian's girlfriend. And you are? I ignored her, glaring at Adrian in disgust. He said to Riley with zero interest, forgot to introduce you, this is Scarlett, my wife. Riley's face strained, her big eyes flooding with panic. Adrian lifted her hand tenderly. Don't worry, we're almost divorced. Soon you could be Cameron too, right? His peripheral sight caught my bare ring finger. Scarlett, where's your wedding band? Lost it. His grip tightened until Riley whimpered from the pain. Only then did he let go. Lost is lost. The ring I'll buy the future Cameron will be bigger and pricier anyway. I had no patience left. Game over, Adrian, move. Riley couldn't resist defending him. Scarlett, if you treat Adrian this coldly, no wonder he's divorcing you. Adrian's mood flipped on a dime. Riley, get lost. Riley stared, stunned. Adrian, I said, scram. His face iced over. Riley fled in disgrace. I followed, but Adrian yanked me back. She's not my girlfriend, just a temp assistant who got ahead of herself. I shoved the folder at him. Your private life is irrelevant. Look at this, Adrian, sign the divorce papers and be done. He skimmed a few pages. His color darkened. She's using equity to threaten me? So we're divorcing, think I can't handle it? You had to drag the elders into it? I said, then please, Mr. Sterling, put your signature on the line. His jaw clenched, the last trace of a smile erased. Scarlett, if you change your mind, you can still turn back. You're the only woman who ever shared the gutter with me. No one can push you out of the Cameron seat. Once the cooling off month is over, Adrian and I can collect our final decree. With Evelyn's leverage, Adrian has no choice but to comply. I got blackout drunk at Luna's place. I don't even remember crawling into bed. I woke after midnight, head pounding, and switched on the bedside lamp. I was in my own bedroom. A tousled head lay draped over the mattress edge. I nudged him. Julian, is that you? He lifted his face, half asleep, and passed me a glass of water. Feeling all right? I'm fine, thanks for looking after me. The warm yellow light bathed him. Julian wasn't wearing a shirt. His sun-kissed skin looked strong and sculpted, exactly the lean-in clothes, ripped when bare, typed from the rumors. He lowered his eyes, embarrassed. You threw up all over my shirt. Bare-chested was the only option. I sat up, mortified, and rummaged through drawers until I found him something to wear. He held the tea against himself. It's Adrian's. I nodded. Adrian's frame dwarfs mine. Nothing I own would fit Julian. Julian's gaze darkened. Scarlett, Adrian doesn't deserve you. My drunk head spun, and I blurted, then who does? Me. The word had barely left his lips when he backed me against the wardrobe door. All shyness vanished, his rough breath brushed my ear. When I carried you home you groped me from head to toe. You even said the muscles felt amazing and you wanted a test drive. Look at me, Scarlett. I will never betray you. I turned my face away. Julian, go play with someone else. I'm not into kids. A sting flared across my neck as his teeth grazed me. I've loved you for 3 years, this is the 4th. This isn't a game. I've waited forever for tonight. Early next morning I sat on the bed in a daze. Julian had already commandeered the kitchen, whipping up a feast big enough for an emperor. He peeked in, saw me, and went beet red again. Trouble walking? Let me carry you to the table. I covered my face, lifeless. Get out first. I need clothes. Ears crimson, he leaned close. Last night you promised you'd give me a real title. I hissed through clenched teeth, I heard you, now scram. He scurried out like a wronged little wife, utterly pitiful. As I dressed, the phone on the nightstand rang and I answered on reflex. A familiar female voice chirped, just like you said, their divorce is imminent. Can you wire the money now? My mind went blank. Sienna grew anxious. Adrian wants me to abort. Julian, you swore you'd compensate me. A cold laugh slipped out as understanding dawned. So that was why Sienna had shown up at the Vance estate. Julian stepped from the bathroom just as Sienna shrieked, Sam, don't push me or I'll tell Scarlett everything and let her see how thoroughly she's been played. The line went dead. Julian stood pale and speechless. The memory of his once innocent, harmless expression flashed by, utterly ridiculous. I tossed the phone to his feet. Care to explain, Julian? He bent to retrieve it in silence, the fresh scratches I'd left across his back on full display. He met my stare. I'm sorry, get lost. Adrian's no saint, sooner or later he'd cheat. If it hadn't been Sienna, it would have been someone else. So you're saying you just helped the current along? He didn't deny it. If Adrian doesn't treasure you, he loses the right to keep you. Adrian's eyelid had been twitching for days. Sienna haunted his field of vision, driving him insane. Finally she confronted him. Adrian, when are you and Scarlett going to file the papers? His gaze turned glacial. Whether I divorce my wife is none of an assistant's business. Sienna bit her lip, wobbled, and accidentally toppled a sculpture, the first birthday gift Scarlett ever gave him. Adrian exploded, shoving her aside in rage. Sienna had already aborted several times, her body couldn't hold a child. That single push ended the pregnancy. The doctor demanded the father sign the surgery form. Adrian stared at the words accidental miscarriage until his vision blurred. He suddenly remembered, he'd once had another child. The year he stormed back into the limelight he'd drunk too much at a gala. An escort crept into his bed. Next morning he learned Scarlett had suffered abdominal agony that night, and lost their baby. Dozens of missed calls flooded his phone. Scarlett grieved, yet she never blamed him. They were young, there would be other children. How, then, had they landed here? Adrian's hand trembled around the pen. Scarlett's assistant texted back, Julian carried Scarlett inside, he never left all night. Adrian's heart lurched. Last time he'd lost a child. This time, he feared, he was losing Scarlett. On divorce paper day Adrian didn't show. The sun climbed, then sank. The clerk urged, Ma'am, try calling your husband. If he doesn't come we'll have to reschedule for next month. Adrian's assistant, sweating bullets, apologized, Mrs. Sterling, Mr. Sterling's phone is off. We're helpless. Slowly I rose. Let's go. He won't come. The instant I stepped forward Adrian pushed through the door. When it was time to sign he hesitated. Scarlett, I told you, you can still change your mind. I signed cleanly, slid the pen back, and said calmly, we're done. Clutching the divorce decree, I walked out of City Hall light-footed. Julian's car idled at the curb. Luna popped a party popper. Congrats on regaining freedom. Monarch's VIP hosts are on standby, order anything, my brother's paying. Julian approached and flashed Adrian a grin. Ran into you at obstetrics last time, Mr. Sterling, thought my eyes were tricking me. Adrian's tone was icy. Julian, some people aren't yours to provoke. The air between them reeked of gunpowder. Luna hollered, big bro, hurry up. Only then did Julian climb into the car. All night Luna drank the hardest. She draped herself over one host, then another, finally nodding off on a bronzed shoulder. It took Julian epic effort to haul her into the back seat. Quinn, Julian finally spoke. I never schemed against you. I only paid Sienna to force Adrian's hand. I kept my eyes on the passing night. When we stopped I stepped out. Julian caught my hand and pressed it to his cheek. Hit me, curse me, just don't stay angry, don't cut me off, please? Take care of Luna. I freed my hand and walked upstairs without looking back. He followed and waited until my door clicked shut. An invitation arrived for a charity gala. Some tactless guest greeted me, Cameron, here alone? Several insiders smothered giggles behind their hands. I smiled graciously. From now on I'm not Cameron, please, call me Scarlett. Julian materialized, guiding my hand to rest lightly on his forearm. Sorry I'm late, Scarlett. No one here's been impolite, have they? His sharp gaze swept the circle of matrons, they blanched and scattered. I tried to withdraw, but Julian's grip tightened. He whispered, look who's here. I followed his stare. Adrian sauntered over, whiskey swaying in his glass. Julian raised his flute first. Adrian, fancy meeting you. Adrian's eyes fixed on my hand. I called, you didn't answer. I feigned a smile. Sorry, didn't hear it. Hard to pick up a blocked call. Julian chuckled. Adrian, climbing from the gutter sure builds thick skin. Adrian's knuckles whitened around the stem of his glass. I didn't feel like watching them bicker, so I excused myself to the restroom. Adrian started to follow, but Julian blocked him. Adrian, your wife doesn't want you anymore. Why tag along? I pressed my fingers to my temples and fled the war zone. When I came out, I found Adrian leaning against the corridor wall, looking as if he'd waited forever. I spoke first. Adrian, exes don't really have anything to catch up on, do they? Whatever nerve I'd hit, he pinned me to the corner. Julian's car is outside your place every night. When did you two get so cozy, before or after we signed the divorce papers? No comment. Adrian dropped his gaze, eyes unreadable. Scarlett, you were always the first to apologize. I gave a cold laugh. Yeah, and you still cheated. His breath hitched, the rims of his eyes reddening. Every man in our circle has to play the game. Those sleazy dinners, I couldn't bear to drag you along. I retorted silently, so you dragged another woman instead, and dragged her straight into your bed. He said, the baby's gone. You hate female assistants, fine, I'll never hire another. Scarlett, this time I'm the one bowing my head. Can we stop fighting? I drew a slow breath and met his eyes. Adrian, we're not fighting. We're divorced. I turned to leave, he caught my wrist. Scarlett, do you really not want me anymore? My heels wobbled and I stumbled, forehead smacking the wall so hard my vision blacked out. Adrian scooped me up, flustered, like a kid who'd broken mom's vase. Sorry, I didn't mean it, does it hurt? Does it hurt? I shoved him away. Adrian, the best thing you can do is stay far away from me. Maybe the cocktail at the party had been stronger than I thought. The moment I sank into the back seat of the ride home, drowsiness swallowed me. When I woke, I was in a room I knew too well. The cramped loft apartment Adrian and I once shared. The window was nailed shut. Adrian sat on the edge of the bed, giving a ghastly smile. You're awake. I exploded. Adrian, have you lost your mind? His eyes were bloodshot. Right now I finally understand how sterling mean felt back then. Scarlett, I gave you a chance when we divorced. You didn't take it, and now you've got a new man, Julian, right? But it doesn't matter. I know you can't possibly love him. I'm still in your heart, aren't I? I calmed myself and spoke evenly. Adrian, people change. He refused to believe. Liar. You said you'd love me for life. Adrian, I've asked myself whether I still love you. I keep remembering the old days in this tiny rental. We were exhausted, a wreck, but as long as you were beside me, I felt happy. Then you rose again, and the women around you changed faster and faster, the lies piled higher. Gradually, Adrian, I forgot how to keep loving you. He scrubbed the tears from his eyes and begged, let's live like we used to, okay? Try, just try, to love me again. He pulled on the cheap clothes we once bought together, washed every trace of gel from his hair. He cooked, cleaned, did everything himself, building a fake utopia around us. He could barely sleep. I'd shift an inch and he'd jerk awake. One night he rested his head on my chest, voice cracking. Scarlett, how did we end up like this? I couldn't answer, because on countless sleepless nights, I'd asked myself the same question and come up empty. Adrian never let me out of his sight. One afternoon he held me in his arms, trimming my nails. Look at you, little slacker. I used to cut your nails, wash your hair. Then I got too busy and forgot. My fault, Scarlett. A sour ache filled my chest. My hand twitched, the clipper sliced deep into my finger. Blood gushed. Adrian panicked, tearing the room apart for a first aid kit. Of course there wasn't one. He called his bodyguard to rush out and buy supplies. I walked quietly to the sink and rinsed my finger under cold water. Adrian rushed up behind me, arms circling my waist, cheek against my shoulder. Sorry, I can't even handle this tiny thing. He grabbed my hand and slapped it against his own face. Hit me, vent, just don't ignore me. I finally spoke. If you're truly sorry, let me go. He froze, arms trembling around me. Scarlett, I never want to let you go for the rest of my life. To make it up to me, he tried learning to cook. He sliced fingers, scalded the backs of his hands. By the time a meal was done, both hands were wrecked. Perched on the edge of my bed, medical kit in his lap, he dressed the wounds himself. I used to bank on the fact that you loved me, so I never bothered to learn any of this. I just expected you to feed me. Turns out cooking is hard, way harder than making money. But I feel so happy, Scarlett. How long can this happiness last? I didn't answer. I rolled over and yanked the quilt over my head. He hesitated a few seconds, then hugged the kit and shuffled out. Day 3 of Adrian's lockup. Julian and Evelyn stormed in with their men. The room was too small for so many bodyguards. Evelyn whipped off her sunglasses, stepped up, and crack! The slap echoed. Adrian's head snapped aside, blood beading at his lip. Julian strode straight to me, wrapped me in his coat, and helped me out. As our eyes met, Adrian gave a wan smile. Scarlett, can you not leave? Adrian, I won't press charges. From now on, we walk separate roads. Let's never see each other again. Tears slid from his reddened eyes, drop after drop. He shook as he whispered, yeah, you don't want me anymore. Sorry, so sorry. He slid down the wall, hands over his eyes, and sobbed like a broken child. Julian eased me into the car and squatted by the open door, squeezing my wrist. I'm late, I know. I noticed raw scrapes on his wrist. You fought Adrian's bodyguards? He shrugged, grinning. Men are tough, this is nothing. I felt a pang of guilt. Julian, I owe you one. Then promise me one thing. When I stayed silent, he drooped like a scolded puppy. I clenched my teeth. Fine, name it. Don't block my number, okay? Deal. Once I get my phone back, I'll free you. His eyes lit up. He produced the newest model from his pocket. Already got it ready, SIM card restored. Come on, hurry. I couldn't help thinking, if Julian were a dog, he'd be wagging his tail off right now. Pure bliss. Right in front of him, I pulled his contact off my block list. Julian, thank you, and thank Evelyn too. His gaze darkened. Don't worry. Every hurt he gave you, I'll pay back. I smiled faintly. Take me home. Sit tight, I've got you. He spread a brand new blanket over me, tucking it in carefully before jogging around to the driver's seat. I jolted awake in the middle of the night, my heart still racing from the nightmare. The moment I shut my eyes, I was back in the dark days when Adrian had me trapped. The black night felt alive, like a pair of invisible eyes pinned on me. Sleep was impossible now, so I flicked every lamp to its brightest setting. My phone buzzed suddenly. Julian, video calling. Hey, Julian. His grin froze the instant the camera focused. Nightmare? Your forehead's soaked. I rubbed it absent-mindedly. Can't sleep. What's up? The doctor who saw you today said PTSD might set in. I noticed you were still online and figured you might wake up scared, alone. For no reason at all my eyes burned. Julian, I am scared. I don't dare close my eyes. Okay, don't hang up. Wait for me, I'm coming over right now. I gave a tiny nod. Quinn, Julian chatted nonstop, firing one joke after another at me. He even confessed to wetting the bed in middle school. I laughed in spite of myself. Julian, ever heard of dignity? His ears reddened. You matter more than my pride. A dozen minutes later he was at the door. He shrugged off his coat and settled quietly on the edge of my bed. Sleep now. I'm right here, I'm not going anywhere. I lay back, but restlessness lingered. Talk to me, please? He smiled. Deal. Let me tell you about high school me, already 6 foot something, girls crushing left and right. Some guys got jealous, ganged up to jump me. Guess what? I took them all on. His murmuring seeped into my ears, my eyelids sank lower and lower. Julian's fingers slipped around mine, watching until my breathing leveled. Night after night he kept the same vigil. Guilt nudged me one evening as he seasoned stir-fry. Julian, I got you something. He wiped his hands. Yeah? What is it? In the bedroom, come see. He hesitated, cheeks suddenly flame-colored. It's broad daylight, you know, So we save it for tonight? Tonight, then? His voice turned shy, almost eager. I tapped his forehead. What on earth are you imagining? I pushed the door open. A compact daybed stood neatly beside my own. You said the floor was too hard and lumpy, remember? Julian's mouth twitched, disappointment flickering behind his eyes. Thanks, don't mention it. Luna picked the worst time to take off, her company would have been way more convenient, he muttered, as if she'd be any help. Then he knotted his apron and went back to the sizzling wok. Out of nowhere Sienna appeared. She'd terminated the pregnancy, her health slipping, complexion ashen. Scarlet, are you cursed or blessed? These men keep marching into fire for you. I kept my tone flat. If you've nothing important to say, we're done. You think Adrian started cheating last year? She studied me, her smile razor sharp. Remember when you were carrying your first baby? Those memories were locked deep for a reason. That was actually his first betrayal. You kept dialing him the night you miscarried. I'm the one who hit decline. A girl from an average college doesn't land a CEO assistant gig for nothing. While you played housewife, I serviced him on the office couch. See? My love matches yours ounce for ounce. I answered coolly. So you're announcing you loved him harder? Tears welled in her eyes. Yes, harder. But one day I merely sniffed the bouquet he'd sent you and he exploded. He snarled, "You're not worthy of Scarlett's things." I gathered every shred of proof of his affairs, ready to blow up his perfect marriage, and Julian intercepted me. He paid me one demand: force Adrian to divorce, but Scarlett must not be harmed. Then I got pregnant, Adrian's only child. I thought he'd soften. Instead he said, "Sienna, the only child I'll ever claim is Scarlett's." She was sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. I said, "So you turned on Adrian and kept doing Julian's dirty work?" She scrubbed her tears with her sleeve. Exactly. But I broke the deal, threw myself in your face like a fool, and I lost. When I walked home later, a familiar car idled at the curb. Adrian sat inside, haggard, lighting a cigarette, gaze fixed on my building. I tapped on his window. He startled, eyes reddening the instant they met mine. "Scarlett, it's been a while." He stepped out. "I'm not spying, I swear, I just missed you, had to see you." I studied him in silence, then spoke. "Adrian, I owe you 5 words. He sensed what was coming, crushing the lit cigarette in his fist. "Please, don't say it." "I can't. Adrian, I don't love you anymore." His tall frame lurched, he said nothing, tears streamed unchecked. "I understand. I'll rein myself in, won't disturb you again." I nodded. "See that you keep your word." At the last second he asked, "Are you and Julian together?" I was sure Julian was on my balcony right then, arms folded, spatula in hand, tracking us. I smiled toward him, then turned back. "Not yet, but I'm in love with him." The cigarette scorched Adrian's skin, he didn't flinch. He whispered, "If you're happy, I'm happy for you. But I know Adrian, his mouth rarely matches his heart." This time I didn't expose him, I simply smiled. "Same to you." What I didn't know was that Adrian had already bought the townhouse across from mine. He spends hours at the window, staring at my lit panes, remembering how Scarlett used to forgive every wrong. All he had to do was bend his head and they'd be okay again. Banking on her love, he'd cheated his way through a string of women, each one worth less than a single strand of her hair. It was just fun, so what? When she filed for divorce he wrote it off as a tantrum, signing the papers? Pointless theater. In their circle couples remarried all the time, but never once did he consider that Scarlett would refuse to stay put. That she could, how dare she, leave him stranded on the spot, and force him to spend the rest of his life learning how to live with losing her. Thanks for listening to tonight's chapter. If you enjoyed the story, hit like and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, drop them below. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping episodes. See you next time.